Welcome to the Medicine Mermaids podcast, stories of womb, water, and womanhood. We are your hosts, Naomi Maharaj and Naomi Ring, together for the first time ever recording live on this podcast. In this podcast, we're here to share real stories on all things women's health, embodied spirituality, and ancient feminine mysticism. We value authentic, sovereign expression, and our greatest hope with this podcast is to awaken the unique medicine that lives within each of you. In today's episode, we'll be diving into raw conversations on self-worth, self-love, and beauty, and in the arms of our beloved Orisha, Oxum. I'm Naomi Maharaj, a women's holistic health practitioner devoted to guiding women on the path of self-reclamation and embodied sovereignty. My work weaves together body image healing, womb care, and female health through modalities like clinical herbalism, holistic pelvic care, and subconscious reprogramming. I support women in remembering the divine beauty that they are and attuning to the deep wisdom and medicine within their flesh.
And I'm Naomi Ring, an integrative somatic healer, grief doula, and astrologer, supporting women to embody their wholeness and root into who they truly are. My main tools are evolutionary astrology, family constellations and trauma healing, and the Akashic Records. I integrate ancient practices, devotional dance, and subconscious reprogramming to guide women on their journeys home.
So today's episode is going to be a little bit different, seeing as we're together. I've been on this beautiful 1-week trip visiting Naomi here in Costa Rica, and we said, well, why don't we just record an episode? And this time we're going to be more stream of consciousness. We have a few questions that we're going to be dialoguing and asking each other and answering. And it's all going to be on this theme of self-love and beauty and self-worth. And we've been spending a lot of our time together this past week in the waters as we've been doing some delicious mermaid photo shoots.
And also communing with Oxum.
Yeah,
And we'll speak about her as well.
Yeah, so she's been on our mind, she's been on our hearts, and so she's kind of the being, the goddess Orisha, who will be the patron of this episode.
Yeah.
So let's dive in. So our first question that we are asking one another, and we are also asking you, our beloved listener, is what does self-love mean to us at this moment? Do you want to go first?
Sure. So I was thinking about this actually when I was in the bathroom, not gonna lie. And I thought to myself, well, like I could split this in two ways because one of the things I feel for me, self-love is so much about having grace with oneself and having compassion. But I also feel it's so much about bringing a right amount of balance, right? So I can see the compassion, the grace, and then I would also say having the discipline and a bit of like tough love, to be able to find those more moments where you need to discern, okay, like, is this being loving towards myself or am I just like too much in allowance, right? Or then the opposite side of the spectrum, am I being like super tough because I'm like, this would be loving myself, or like, do I need more softness right now? And I feel like it comes down for me to a deep listening, and it just changes. Like self-love isn't like stagnant. It would be something that constantly kind of moves as I move and breathes as I breathe. So some days it's gonna look one way, some days it's gonna look another way. I would say that to begin with. And then obviously, there's all these practices and things that we do to connect to self-love. But I think like in what I described before, I would feel that this is something that I see self-love being, which is like the capacity to meet myself and be attuned and listening to what I truly need, and something that goes beyond the ego of what I think I should be, and that really is receptive to what is alive right now, what do I need, and I find it in the balance between like the grace and compassion and also discipline and a little bit of tough love.
Interesting, the tough love thing.
Little tough love. It can be a lot of self-love in that. I might give an example maybe later. I need to take a moment to think of one probably. But yeah.
Go. For me, what does self-love mean? So whenever I hear the word self-love, the first thing that comes to my brain is just this like self-love industry of just love yourself. And I talk a lot about that, the whole love yourself industry that makes you feel like, well, if I don't feel 100% okay all the time in this body and how I look, then I don't love myself. And I think that self-love doesn't mean you always feel good in yourself or that you always feel beautiful or you always feel a certain way, because our feelings are constantly fluctuating, and how we look is constantly fluctuating. And I think detaching this expectation of just constancy in our self-love is really important. And I think sometimes also the self-love industry can portray this image of, oh, I'm constantly taking baths and doing self-care rituals and lighting the candles and the incense, and all of that is beautiful. And we literally did this 5 minutes ago. Like, I love all that stuff, don't get me wrong. However, I don't think that that's what self-love or self-care is all the time. I think self-love is a much bigger, it's a much bigger concept. And I think the core of it is, am I choosing myself?
Yeah.
And am I
requires a lot of awareness.
yeah, and what is that inner voice asking me? Because sometimes what that voice is asking is like I need to make money and I need to go work. I need to work on my job.
There you go. You gave the example of tough love. We don't
Yeah.
always want to do the things that would mean we're loving ourselves and
Yeah.
choosing ourselves. Sometimes they're harder, and I think that's what I refer to as tough love.
Yeah. And sometimes it's self-love is like breaking up with the boyfriend who's treating you poorly and isn't acknowledging your needs. And
It
sometimes
feels like your soulmate or whatever. What is it that people call it nowadays? And my twin flame.
yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to be judgy if someone, believes in that. It's totally fine, but
Yeah.
sometimes it does mean breaking up with your twin flame.
Yeah. And sometimes self-love means, I don't know, going for a run, or sometimes it means not going for a run, right? And it ebbs and flows and it changes. And I think self-love is variable in the moment.
Yeah. Oh, I feel like we just said like the same thing in two different ways.
Different ways,
and
which
it
we always do.
We always do.
We
And it
always
was
do.
very complimentary.
Discernment. I think discernment is kind of the medicine with self-love.
Yes. Very strong. Yeah. And in the end of the day, self-love, a lot of it connects to the heart chakra, right? And the heart space. And I feel like the heart space can equally go into like a lot of protection, but then also wants to be very open. And so I feel like the self-love we find in like this expansion and contraction between these two, the protecting oneself, but also the expanding and opening the heart. And I feel like in that dance there is the self-love for oneself, right? Not keeping ourselves super close and protected from the whole world, but also there's the discernment to know when, and then not opening the heart constantly and just like being super vulnerable, but also knowing how to open oneself up. And yeah.
Another thing that's coming up with this question is, I've had people like readers or therapists or people in this holistic wellness world ask me just bluntly, do you love yourself? And I sometimes get really angry with this question, because as if it's so simple,
Right.
like there's many layers to loving of the self, but also sometimes it is such a blunt question, like, do you love yourself or not?
Right.
And you can tell it immediately in someone's eyes if they do or if they don't.
I feel the question could also like be replaced with like, do you have compassion for yourself?
Yeah.
I tie a lot of like self-love with compassion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I hope you listeners like get the meaning also of like compassion, because I don't necessarily think it's just like giving ourselves like major slack all the time, but it's like there's a softness to it, there's a capacity to see our humanity. There's this phrase that I love. It's like, don't use any of the information that you have now against past versions of yourself. It's like it is kind of simple, but hard to implement at times. And another thing that came up as I was listening to you is something we've talked a lot in this weekend that you mentioned in the beginning, is that, many times there's this self-love industry of like, you have to love yourself exactly as you are. And with the whole like tough love question, it's like, well, where's the fine line? Because like I can love myself in this body, and I'm gonna be very honest here, like I'm not in my ideal most comfortable body in the moment, and I think we shared a lot about that. And if I didn't have, this is the way I see it, if I didn't have enough self-love for myself, I wouldn't be trying to move the needle to like support myself and being more comfortable. And I see myself desiring to support myself and being more comfortable as self-love. And I don't see it as I'm shaming myself and I'm not loving myself enough and I should just accept this body as is. Like, of course I love my body and I can adore myself and still touch myself with all the love in the world, and I can still have the compassion for myself for how I got here. But I'm not just gonna let myself go. And like, to me, that's not self-love. To me, self-love is, oh, I'm reaching an unhealthy place and I want to take myself back to my full life force vitality and full feeling of comfort and more fullness of that love that I can express towards myself. And so I definitely think that sometimes, let's say if you want to go on a, I don't know, some people like to call it weight loss journey, some people like to call it fat loss journey, some people like to say just like, I don't know, reconstruction of the body or whatever it is.
The health journey.
Just the health journey, whatever you want to call it, like to go on it, it requires a little bit of tough love, discernment, discipline, some of these that seamless mushy.
Then I think there's the other side, right? Which is much more needed too sometimes with our skin culture.
Yes.
Right? Because a lot of women are really tough on their body and what they look like, and unnecessarily so.
And we talked about that too.
Right?
That past pictures of ourselves where we were like, oh my God, I'm so fat. And then we were like goddesses. We still are.
Yeah.
But it's like,
because that version of us does need the gentler, less tough love. My love, you are exactly in the most ideal, beautiful, healthy body. Like, I want you to see what I see, right? Sometimes, right, we tend to have distorted beliefs and views of our flesh and of our body, self-image. And what we need is the opposite of the tough love, right? So there's that fine line, and we need the balance of the both sides. So
I feel complete with this.
yeah, me too. Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna move on to the next question. Okay. Somehow it disappeared from our eyes, so bear with us for a minute. How fun it is to just record more randomly. We hope you're enjoying this as well, you beautiful listeners that we appreciate and love so much.
So, question number 2. What has Oshun taught us and transmitted to us in our years of connection with her, and how do we commune with her? So, Oshun, for those of you who aren't affiliated or connected with this being, Oshun is the Afro-Brazilian Orisha of the sweet waters, of fresh water, of the waterfalls. And when I say Orisha, that is a term from this specific tradition that refers to nature deities. It's not so much God in the way that we think of like other lineages, other traditions from around the world. They're more just these beings, these nature deities that are authorities over certain parts of nature. So
Elements.
as well. An elemental, yeah. So Oshun is one of the orishas of the waters, and she specifically is the orisha of the sweet waters, which in Portuguese, agua doce means fresh water, and of the waterfalls. And so it's very common for women to go to the waterfall and to offer fruits and flowers and candles to Oshun. And she specifically is connected to beauty and self-love and self-worth and self-confidence. And she's also extremely abundance, prosperity. She's also the protector of the waters of our body, of pregnancy, of creativity, of birth. Yemaja, who is the Orisha of the ocean, she's more gestation, but Oshun is like actual birth itself. And so if you're pregnant, if you're wanting to get pregnant, Oshun is also the Orisha to be calling in.
And she's also associated with the number 5, which I just literally thought like that's the number of Leo. And Leo's like very much in the heart and self-worth and like fully this like luxurious, like
let me be
seen and loved and like shameless, like radiant sun energy. And its healthiest expression.
Yeah, and they are daughters of Oshun. So within this lineage, there's many, many, many orishas that we could talk about. But in this tradition, everyone has at least one orisha that is kind of like their ruler, their mother, their father. And Naomi and I are definitely daughters of Oshun. And daughters of Oshun, they have certain characteristics. One being that they're the mermaids. They love just combing their hair, and they love being taken photos of, and they just love,
high luxury.
Not necessarily luxury, but they just love adorning themselves.
But luxury can also be just like being able to sit by the river for 3 hours and reading your book and enjoying. Like that's a luxury. Right? Just like that slow, rich, juicy, delicious, pleasure-filled life.
Yeah. So, another characteristic that a lot of women with who are daughters of Oshun is that body image, weight gain can be part of their story, and
Oopsie.
eating disorders, that sort of thing, because the daughters of each Orisha tend to have the issue that they are associated with, or the thing that they're associated with. So, we're daughters of Oshun, and we're here because she is definitely a patron goddess of the medicine mermaids, and she wanted to be brought out. We specifically work with four Orishas. We call them the mothers of the waters.
Or at the moment.
Four at the moment.
You never know what's coming.
Four at the moment, and Oshun is definitely one of them. So, to answer our question, do you want to go first? What has Oshun taught and transmitted to us in our years of connection with her, and how do we commune with her?
All I want to do is sing her song. Like, I'm like, "Eu vi mamãe Oxum." Okay. I'm gonna focus and I will answer like this. I have to say that she has definitely transmitted to me this this, I don't know how to describe it. I'm not sure if I want to refer to it as a feeling, an understanding, a knowing, a wisdom, but it's, let's say, one of those of being able to, and I know it's gonna sound like, really, that's what you chose, but yeah, like to flow, to like continue it, like, there's, in rivers you find all these little like sticks and leaves and rocks, and like the formations change, and like it just, but it leads somewhere, and there's a continuation. And some days the water's more murky, and some days the water's more clear, and sometimes it's more visible when the light hits it, and sometimes it feels deeper and less known. And there's also an abundance. Like the first time that I was covered by a waterfall, I was in Argentina, in Foz de Iguazu, on the Argentinian side, right? And this is in the north. Like my family is from this region, this area, and in the provincia de Misiones in Argentina. And I went with my brother. I was 18, and I remember just standing, and like they formed a platform because it's so powerful and impactful. Like you can't really swim there. Like, oh, haha, I'm gonna, it's not like that kind of waterfall that you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna swim. And no. So there was a platform, and you stand there, and it hurts. Like it hurts to feel the water rush on you, but I cannot explain the sensation of being cleansed and alive and vibrant, and I felt abundant and rich, and like I was reborn. I was rebirthed, like in a second. It was a rush. I felt pure joy, and it was incredible to me, because at that stage, sure, I was already like, a few steps into this whole journey of kind of being more attuned to feelings, vibrations, frequency, awareness. Like, I was expanding in this. I think actually I was 17, but it was like pre-father's death for me, and that time for me, I think this literally impacted me, and I think from there I absorbed so much of this rush of water, this cleansing feeling, this knowing that I can change and shift, and I can and be in all my cyclical nature, and yeah, the impact that water has. And I feel like Oshun really transmitted this to me. I feel it was her way of initiating me that day. And then every single time I'm by a river, I just feel like I can let go of anything. I feel like I can cry. I feel like I can be enjoyed. I can rest. That's always what I'm getting from her. It's like, oh, child of mine, lay here and be, and have fun, and rejoice. And just being in her waters, I'm just always swayed, and it takes me back to a slowness, and the awe. There's just an awe of seeing a waterfall, or even the smallest stream of river flowing. The fact that it leads to an ocean, the fact that, like, it's, to me, it was always mind-blowing. It starts at the mountain, and it trickles and flows and rushes all the way down and merges as one with this bigger fountain of water. And there's something beautiful. There's also a poem that I feel like describes that, that it's like the rivers tremble before that merging with the ocean. And I feel like Oshun does say, though, like, there's nothing to be afraid of. Like, you can really I always do find that, like, whenever I'm in a river or waterfall, I do encounter some fears that I'm here to release or that I'm here to work through, that I can sing to. There's a lot of singing for me as well. So there's something about, like, being present and just richly being, and it's activating. So I hope that answers in some way. But that would be a combination of what I've learned and the transmissions I've received and what I love about when I commune with her. It's the ways that I usually commune with her is I'll dance and sing in her waters, and I think working through my fears in her presence, I think she likes that sometimes because it's leading me to more openness, to more capacity to feel also my joy and my pleasure. And so um that's the feeling that I get, that she's holding me through it because wants she wants to be a source where I can release also that. So yeah. What about you?
Oh my God, Oshun has so much. We wouldn't be here recording this episode if it weren't for Oshun.
Yeah.
I've told this story a few times over the years with the Medicine Mermaid, but when I first moved to Brazil in October of 2023, I was staying in this island in the north of Bahia, in the north of Brazil, called Ilha de Boipeba. And I was spending the whole 6 weeks just walking and swimming, and I was reading a lot of books on water, and I was eating fruit, and it was a very simple lifestyle, and I was really disconnected from technology and all that since I had just moved from the US. And there was one day when I was by the ocean and I was waiting for a friend when I just felt Oshun. I was just thinking about her and thinking about her and thinking about her. And I just started receiving these little downloads of information. And it was the beginning of my beauty rewilding work, and I also felt the energy of mermaid consciousness, which we also talk a lot about. And this also wouldn't be happening if it weren't for them. But in those few days that I was just receiving these downloads, one of them was to host a 3-day mermaid portal and to invite 2 women, one of whom was Naomi. And that was just how we got started. And we just kind of have been going on our little journey until we got here. So Oshun always brings this initiatory catalyst for me. And then a few months ago, I was in another part of Brazil, a place called Chapada dos Veadeiros, which is a region with all of these waterfalls. It's like Oshun territory. And you go there and it's like 200-foot waterfalls, and you're just like in awe, like you were talking about. And I spent 2 weeks with my friend there, and we were going every single day to a waterfall and hiking. And, it was incredible. It was like one of the best experiences ever. And I want to take you there one day. Yeah. And I was meditating every morning, and I was just seeing the waterfalls in my mind's eye as I was meditating. And through that trip and the conversations I was having with my friend Bruna and just being in those waters every single day, that's when the heart of the beauty rewilding work, which I do personally, started to come through. And I was receiving information about, women's bodies being a mirror of the earth, and just kind of seeing these gaps between our breasts and the mountains of the earth, and our blood and our lymph with the rivers of the body. And like, it was Oshun who gave me that gift of kind of more of a framework of the work that I guess I do now. And yeah, every time I'm in the waterfalls, like, I grew up by the ocean. I grew up in South Florida, so I didn't really have access to fresh water beside, the Everglades. But that's more Nana energy than Oshun. Like, I didn't grow up going to
Yeah, same
waterfalls.
for me. I was very beach,
Yeah.
pool, beach.
Yeah. So I grew up feeling Yemanjah's energy, but it was only honestly when I moved to California in 2020 that I really had access to Oshun energy.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I'm like, I think I'm a waterfall girl. I think that's where I feel the most replenished and the most renewed. I'd come out of the waterfall feeling lighter and clearer. And, like, don't get me wrong, I love Yemanjah. It just the ocean water just carries a different frequency to it. But we're daughters of Oshun. Like, we're gonna love her. But she has been helping me so much in my relationship to my body and my body image, which has been, a journey of a lifetime. And yeah, I love Oshun, and I know that this is just the beginning. I could share so much more about Oshun, but I'll leave it there. So to answer the second part of this question, how do I commune with her? I try to go to water as much as possible, and especially fresh water, because it does replenish. I feel like it structures all of the water of my body, just listening to the sound. And just lying by the rocks. And I also like to sing when I'm there, and to draw Reiki symbols in the water, and to bring teas and offer it to her, to leave flowers for her, like to do whatever I can. Oshun loves being gifted. And she also loves when you go and you're just like playing with your hair,
Yeah,
holding your
this is
hair,
definitely what I do. Yeah.
loving your body, and
Yeah. I draw a lot of infinity symbols.
Mhm.
This is, yeah, I feel like I'm a very infinity girl.
Mhm.
Yeah.
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 Should we move on to our last question?
Yeah, we should.
Yeah. Okay. So our last question, what is the message of self-love and self-worth we would give to a younger version of ourselves?
La 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 la. And I'm going first. Yeah, because, okay, I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to do this in the way that I would take someone back, my sessions to their younger version, because I want to feel what version of me needs it. Okay, two came in. The first the 13-year-old came in, and then like the 8-year-old is like, what about me? So I might have a little message for both, if that's okay. Yes. Really. I'm gonna start with the 13-year-old, and I feel that she needs to hear that although it's very normal in her environment to like hear others compare themselves and be compared to, and just have that like ambience of everyone kind of like talking about the other. Like, I remember there was a girl once who literally was like, oh my God, she's wearing a thong. Like there was just this energy in the school I was in Chile when I was 13, that there was, yeah, just a lot of comparison. And I think I was told that my hair was so frizzy, and like there was a lot that was coming up for the first time for me when I was 13. Like some things had already been there, but it was like more and more growing, this like energy of like, I need to look like someone else and not me. And so I would tell her that she has like very unique beauty, and that it's okay to feel like she might need to compare herself, and it's okay to have days where she doesn't feel that beautiful, but to also remember and make sure that what makes her beautiful is something that only she has. And it probably would be hard to hear that, I think, for a 13-year-old. I don't know if a 13-year-old would absorb that and like feel the depth of that, to really see her own beauty and look in the mirror and appreciate what makes her unique and what makes her super beautiful, that I'm sure others could appreciate more than her. But that's still the message, to not batter herself. I don't know if that's a word, batter herself, to berate herself so harshly for, her uniqueness, and hopefully celebrate it more.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, 13-year-old self, if you didn't like it so much. I feel she's in my head like, yeah, but it's okay. And for the 8-year-old, it's a little tricky. I feel she's farther away, but there's a reason she wanted one. I feel like she wants one. I think she just wants to be told that um she's so vital. Like I was I was so vital. Like jumping with my jump rope everywhere, hula hooping everywhere, swimming all day. And yeah, like I don't know, I feel like I would say like just enjoy yourself and enjoy your life force energy and your bigness, and don't give so many fucks if others are like afraid and concerned for things that are not even real. Like don't absorb it. Just stay in your bubble, and stay in your radiance, and keep on doing what you're doing, because you're just perfect. I feel like she was just perfect, like just, yeah, so vital, so beautiful, so vibrant, and that I love her so much. Okay. Yeah. These are hard when they're like like in the moment, like, like think, go. So that's what I
I
had.
think you did great. I think you did really well.
Yeah.
So for me, I also have two.
Yay!
So my first version of self that I wish I could go back and give some self-love mama bear speak would be my 10-year-old self when I was in 4th grade. That was, just a year before I got my first bleed. And by then my body was already starting to change slightly. I got my first bra and I felt super uncomfortable. I started getting, some pimples and acne on my skin, but that was the beginning of my dysmorphia because I'd never had anything wrong with my body before. And now the kids were bullying me. And my mom was like looking, I could tell when she would look at me, she wasn't looking at my eyes. She was like looking around at my skin.
I had this kind of mom too in a different way.
Yeah. And so from 10 years old, it was just pathologized. And I look at pictures of my skin when I was 10 years old, and it was like normal. I'm a hormonal preteen who's going through normal shifts in her body, but my mom treated me as if there was something totally wrong. And we did every skincare routine.
Oh my God.
And at that time, there's a lot of commercials, Neutrogena, Proactive, all of these commercials online. Yeah, yeah, all of these skincare brands that my mom made me get. And then we went to every dermatologist. We would go to Brazil to visit family, and I went straight to the dermatologist. We'd spend like 4 hours just squeezing every little cravo pore and like squeezing it out. And I was like, damn, there's something horribly wrong with my skin. And because of that, I ended up having to do acid peels. I'd go to school with like my skin peeling off of my face, and yeah, they would pour acid on your skin, and then you'd like have to hold a little fan because it'd be burning so bad. And then for a whole week,
Heard of any of this. Wow.
it's modern torture. And then I would go to school for a week. My skin was peeling. I couldn't look at anybody, and I would do that once a month. Once a month, I would do that.
Babe.
And
Wow.
and so that was me until I moved out to go to college until I was 18. From 10 until 18, I was on that hamster wheel of skincare, skincare, skincare. And then because I felt so insecure, I just covered my face in makeup. So I would wake up at 5 in the morning just to like do my whole self-love routine, which was like makeup all over the face, straighten my hair, lotion, just so I would be good enough to be liked by the boys. So if I could go back in time and speak to my little 10-year-old, I would say, Nicole, because my first name is Nicole. Nicole, your skin is beautiful and this is normal. You're going to get your bleed in 1 year. You're not supposed to know that. You're going to get your first bleed, and with that comes all kinds of hormonal changes. And part of that is you're going to get little pimples. But let me tell you, if you just ignore them, they're going to go away on their own. Like, avoid the temptation to be squeezing them and popping them. Just let them be. Maybe put a little toothpaste or some little zinc cream on them, and they'll slowly go away.
I feel like you really talk to your 10-year-old.
Yeah. And I love you. Your skin is beautiful exactly as it is. This is a normal part of having a female body. And when those kids tell you, "Oh, you got a pimple," punch them. I'm just kidding. Don't do that.
Made me realize though why I chose 13, because that's when I got my bleed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, and I was like, some girls had boobs and I didn't have boobs yet.
Yeah.
Like things like that.
I got white boobs.
Yeah, I got boobs. I was like, Naomi, you're gonna get boobs. It's okay. The summer's gonna come and you're gonna bleed. In the pool for the first time.
Oh my God, in the pool.
No one saw. It was like very contained, and yeah, only when I was in the shower did I see. So it was very chill. Yeah,
In the water, of course. As a mermaid.
as a mermaid would. I was initiated by the water. So
I wish I was.
we can't all we can't all
have it. Okay. Well, then my last message of self-love to my past version of self would be to my 16-year-old, who was a completely different person at that time. I was, at a really intense prep school and studying crazy hours of the day and training and studying and volunteering and all these things. And at that time, I was waking up at 5 in the morning to go to Orange Theory Fitness and to work out. And Orange Theory, they have you like run on the treadmill, and they have you do like all of these different intervals, high interval training, and then you go lift weights, and then you're out in like an hour, and then I would go to school and get ready for my whole day. But I remember, because I didn't like running at the time, and I would be like running, looking at myself in the mirror and being like, thinking to myself, okay, well, we're gonna get the body that we want, and then the boys are gonna like us. Like every day I did that. And that was what I was thinking about. I was just programming in my brain that when I'm skinny, then I'll be liked by the boys.
Yeah.
And this has been like a subtle theme of my whole life, right? With the body dysmorphia and the eating disorder, which really started in that high school time. So if I could go back and speak to that 16-year-old, I would say, Nicole, get off the freaking treadmill, right? And I would say, I love you so much. Like, you don't need a boy. First of all, you don't need to be skinny for a boy to like you. And second, you don't need a boy to be worthy. And are you here because you genuinely want to work out? That's great. But I also see that you're extremely exhausted. You're waking up at 4:45 to get here by 5, and then you have a whole long day, and you're driving and you're working, and like, do you really want to be doing this, or are you doing this for another reason? Because if you're doing it to be beautiful and to be worthy, well, then I have other options for you that you're going to enjoy more. Remember that you love dancing? Why don't you go back to dancing? Your future self will thank you for going back to dancing, because by then I started this long trek of working out on my own. I'd gone from doing dance and doing sports and having kind of like a teacher watching, and to just doing exercise by myself. And as soon as I started doing that, that was when everything started changing, and the ADD got worse and everything. So go back to doing some kind of movement where you have like an elder watching you. I really encourage you. And I love you so much, and you're so beautiful. So that's it.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah. When I was 13, I also stopped dancing. When I was 8, I started, and when I was 13, I stopped because I moved. I moved a lot of countries. We talked about this in the previous episode, guys. Um, and so yeah, it was a heartbreak for me, and I think the environment I was in wasn't great, because like dance for me has always been like my Oshun portal in some way, because the rivers of my body be flowing, I sweat like that, so I might not be in a river, but I definitely have like the waters in me. And like when I would dance, I always felt so much like self-love and just like this beauty and pleasure and joy, and I think that's so connected to Shun. And yeah, being 13, new environment, all these like girls. I also was a little bit of a late bloomer, not just like in the bleed and my body changing, but also I don't think I cared about boys until at least 15, maybe 16.
Bless your freaking heart.
I know my brother used to be like, "You're such a child," and I'm like, "Thank God."
Thank God you
Thank
thought
God.
you wise little
I don't think it was wisdom. I think it was just like I mean, I wasn't immature either. I was very emotionally mature, but I feel like I always just cared so much about playing. I loved playing.
Thank God, because you become an adult and all of a sudden you can't play.
But like if boys gave me attention, I would never like notice anyways. And also I had deep beliefs of like no boys ever gonna love me. Like why would they look at me? But I feel like losing dance at 13 impacted me greatly, So yeah. So yeah, I would definitely be like, Naomi, I know it's not the same. I know we just moved and you don't like it, but
You go back to
go
dance
back
class.
to dance class and you'll be very happy. I promise you, my love. I promise you. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry you're going through all of the shit. And I'm sorry about the earthquake.
Another episode.
Another episode, yeah. Anyways, I feel like that's more or less it for us for today.
Yeah.
We invite you to reflect for yourself. Maybe you have some messages coming up for past versions of yourself at any age that you want to talk sweetly to, and just
Maybe you want to go to the waterfall and make an offering to Oshun, have a new being, divine being that supports you.
and reflect, what is self-love to you, because I feel like we have so much permission to each have our own definitions and ways of connecting to it, and we don't need to listen to like this like you have to love yourself in this way, and if you don't, you suck.
Or buy more products to love yourself.
Buy more products to love yourself. If you're gonna ever buy a product, you might as well like get a ticket to our retreat in the future, because like I think that will be probably the best thing you need. I'm kidding.
Naomi, we were just talking about selling people shit, and then you were selling people shit.
They know it's a joke. I'm being playful. Yes, guys, come on. You don't have to come. It's okay. Other people will want to. So you'll
Me okay.
I'm being playful. Shun likes playful.
Yeah, okay.
Little sass, little sass. We love you. Thank you for listening to us. And
We'll see you in the next episode.
we'll see you in the next episode. I really hope you know I was okay. Ciao for now.